Hello there and welcome to a Eurogamer newscast special. My name is Tom Phillips, I'm Deputy Editor, and joining me today are Ed Nightingale, news reporter. Say hello, Ed.
Hello, Ed.
Good grief, great start. Victoria Kennedy, news reporter. Say hello. And Wesley Impel, Deputy Editorial Director.
Hello, Tom.
Hello, all of you. The special is all about the huge acquisition news last night. Obviously, that Wordle has been acquired by the New York Times. And also the small matter of Sony purchasing Destiny maker Bungie for quite a lot of money, $3.6 billion. Let's probably start with Bungie, I think. And the question on everybody's lips, really, which is, what does Sony get from this deal? They have paid all of this money for Bungie. They are not getting Destiny exclusive, which I think we would probably all agree is a good thing and the expected thing. But they're also not getting Destiny's next games that they're making free, exclusive to PlayStation either. So what are they going to get? I've seen a lot of conversation about it on social media and other places last night, but I'd like to hear all of your thoughts. Wes, let's start with you. What does Sony get for its money?
Well, I think they will. I think they are getting exclusivity eventually. I think the wording of the official post that Bungie put out to sort of calm any of their fans' nerves about what this means for exclusivity is very carefully worded. They ask themselves, Bungie has future games in development. Will they now become PlayStation exclusives? And they say no. So you can't argue with that. The word no in response. We want the worlds we are creating to extend to anywhere people play games. We will continue to be self-published, creatively independent, and we will continue to drive one unified Bungie community. So they're ruling out that future games that are in development will be PlayStation exclusive. I don't think anyone expects anything to be PlayStation exclusive, right? It will come out on PC. It will come out on mobile, probably. There'll be mobile versions of whatever they're doing. Sony has already indicated they want to get into mobile in a big way. And maybe other streaming platforms that might be popular at the time. I think if they had asked themselves, Bungie has future games in development, will they come out on Xbox? I think that might have been, that's the question they don't want to ask themselves, but that's the actual question that's pertinent right now. And if there is a Destiny 3, if there is a, whatever the next non-Destiny game is, no, I don't think it will come out on Xbox. I don't see why Sony would do that. I don't see what the point of that would be from Sony's point of view. No one expects Microsoft to release Starfield on PlayStation. I don't see the difference.
Well, I think they are different types of games. Starfield, as far as we know, relatively single-player game, is different to stuff like Destiny, which is a massively multiplayer online game. And, we were talking earlier, it's monetized in so many different ways: season passes, microtransactions, expansions, battle passes, just to buy the game and different parts of it. It's all monetized now. That's a lot easier to monetize and continue accruing revenue off if you keep it on places like Xbox. And there is that line where they say, we want our games to be available wherever you are, you are Destiny or Bungie fans.
What does that mean?
Playing games.
I don't know what that means. That could mean anything.
I think that if they are going to continue doing stuff on Xbox, they would still not say it in that kind of statement, because it invites this very speculation, which is, what is Sony actually getting, at least even in the short term, because we know that Bungie is working on Destiny 2 for another 3 years at least. Its next IP is another 3 years away at least. So, yeah, it's got people talking. Ed, do you have any more thoughts? What do you think Sony is getting?
Well, Jim Ryan, in the interview with Games Industry Biz, he did say, we are starting to go multi-platform. You've seen that. And we have seen that on PC. And I think I sort of agree with Wes, really, that, you know, multi-platform just means multiple. It doesn't mean every platform. So I think we will see it on, you know, on PC, maybe on mobile. I don't see future games coming to Xbox in a similar way. I don't see what the benefit would be for them for that. I think it's interesting how clear they've been with the messaging. That opening line of the blog is literally saying it's going to be multi-platform, they'll be independent. And I think that is interesting to compare with Microsoft's messaging that was a bit more blurry around Activision and was really inviting people to question the exclusivity of Call of Duty. And it's interesting that they are being much clearer with this, but I think that's also to sort of support Bungie as well. You know, Bungie were very unhappy with Activision. The fact they've linked to that specific post in the PlayStation blog post saying that they're controlling their destiny. I think a lot of this is about sort of appeasing Bungie and letting them do their own thing and be as independent as they possibly can be.
I think you're right that Bungie is quite a special case when it comes to these kind of things. It is a real prestige studio. It has a real history to it. And I don't know if this is, as some people were speculating last night, a template for future Sony acquisitions, and we know, of course, there will be more. Or if Bungie is a bit of a special case where it has an ongoing franchise that it runs as a live service game, and it also has this history of being owned by Microsoft, which, you know, they popped champagnes when they got out of that. Owned by Activision, popped champagnes again when they got out of that. Do they want to, you know, sell this image of themselves as being bought again? Or is it better for the kind of the Bungie image if they are still able to be this free independent studio? At least on paper in their statement, we'll see exactly.
They have been bought again, though. Like Sony has bought every single share in the company.
But the wording is very
owned.
different. The Bungie PR take on this is very different. In a post Activision acquisition world where, you know, they were part of that, and I think it's, you know, it's well reported that they were unhappy.
How does the acquisition PR stack up against the likes of when Sony purchased Housemarque?
Very different, because, you know, as much as Housemarque makes good games, so does Nixie's, so does a bunch of the other stuff. This is the sixth studio that Sony has purchased in the last 12 months. Bungie, just to go back to what we're saying, I think is a bit of an exception, because it has such a prestige to it that I think that when you make this announcement, regardless of what happens down the line, there's a lot that you caveat and probably a lot also that you don't say. And I think Microsoft as well, when they announced the most recent deal, the enormous 69 billion acquisition of Activision Blizzard, some of the statements coming out from Phil Spencer in the days afterwards, I saw some comments there that a lot of that was more about the potential financial investigation that might happen because it's such a big deal and because it would be so industry shaking, that he was trying to soften the blow by saying, don't worry, like this, like we're not trying to take Call of Duty away from PlayStation, that kind of thing.
But they are.
Well, yeah, probably.
They definitely will.
I don't know. I'm not convinced they will. I still think going to the Microsoft acquisition, I still think King was their big thing. And, you know, the media as a whole got so focused on Call of Duty and everyone saw Call of Duty, but they've got this potential to do so much on mobile games. And so I think there's possibly more to this Bungie offer than sort of originally might meet the eye.
Yeah, I think you're right. What was there anything else that stood out to you?
From the Bungie one, I just think there's going to be some kind of Destiny anime or film or some kind of other media presentation of Destiny. Because, I mean, Sony have, you know, a history of they've got HBO coming up with The Last of Us, and obviously the Uncharted film is just about to come out. So I think, having that IP and then having it as some kind of, I don't know, TV series, film spin-off, something, I think that is possibly coming.
That's definitely true, I think. I can definitely see Tom Holland as Cade.
Oh, they could actually get Nathan Fillion back.
Yeah, but that was the obvious choice for Nathan Drake, wasn't it? And they went with Tom Holland. So, you know, just get Tom Holland to do everything. Everything Sony makes, Tom Holland has to do. Maybe that's his secret deal.
Is he the new Chris Pratt?
He is a bit, isn't he? He's a better Chris Pratt, though.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Too young to play Nathan Drake. Too young to play Cade.
Let's flip the question. What does Bungie get out of this?
Financial security.
I was going to say finances, definitely. I mean, at the moment, they're so reliant on, additional purchases in their games and things. Like, they have to, the way that they have their sort of business format is necessary because it's such a big game on potentially, I don't know, quite a tight budget, whereas potentially having Sony as some, funding will negate the need to have so many other transactions elsewhere.
I think you're right. Yeah. I also think it's worth remembering 2 years ago, there were very strong reports and rumors going around in the summer of 2020 that Microsoft was or had at some point been in discussions itself to buy Bungie. So the suggestion is that Bungie has been looking for a sale for a while. And I think there are lots of reasons why that might be in a company of its age and at this point in its sort of product lifespan, ready to launch a new franchise, coming to the end of the last one. Now seems a good time, clearly, because they've decided that now is the time to sell.
They've definitely done well.
And they've definitely done well.
To sell the company for this amount of money, I think. If you compare the amount of money... What was Bethesda again? 7 billion?
Yeah, yes, about that.
All of the stuff they get from that. And Bungie, which has Destiny, effectively.
Yeah, I think on the surface it feels like they've essentially bought Destiny. And I guess in some ways for Sony that's quite savvy because they're not really known for their first-person shooters or online games. They're much more about their third-person narrative games. You've God of War, Horizon, all of that. So on the surface it seems quite savvy to get that. But I think there's been a lot of chat as well about sort of cross-studio support and them all helping each other. And I think that Bungie therefore brings that online presence that maybe the other studios don't have. And I think that's something that Sony will really benefit from because they don't really have that in their catalogue at the moment.
I think you're absolutely right. You've got 500 really talented people at Bungie who are now going to be part of your Sony Worldwide Studios. And also, if you look at some of the other acquisitions over the past year, they're not necessarily studios that you're going to be getting big AAA brand new PlayStation exclusives from. They're studios that they've bought because the talent there is so strong that they can use that talent to then bring into other projects. Like they're porting to PC, and like Firesprite in the UK, which is reportedly working on Twisted Metal now. That's just something that they picked up because I think the talent there is really strong. So
what they're also getting out of it is content for the content god, right? Which is what everyone is basically making sacrifices towards these days. And if Sony, as we expect them to be doing, is planning some sort of Game Pass rifle, then they need stuff to shove in it to justify charging for it. And this is another reason why I think that things are going to go non-Xbox in the future, not necessarily PlayStation exclusive, but just non-Xbox, is because what is the point of them releasing something on Xbox and as part of whatever the Sony Game Pass rival is? Like they want it to be just like Netflix have Witcher exclusively. Sony will want to have whatever comes next exclusively as part of this subscription. So it's also on PC, it's also on mobile, and PlayStation, but just not on Game Pass and not on Xbox.
I mean, there's a chance though that Xbox would get the base game, and then Sony would get whatever DLCs etc. all included within that package deal, but Xbox users then would have to pay additional costs on top of that.
Yeah, I just don't think that's as compelling. This is a pretty. The subscription war is really competitive. It's brutal that getting content for this. This is why companies are going for so much money, because they know the race is on for content, and it's really tough to make enough stuff for these subscriptions to keep people interested. So when you've got a stack of IPs or you've got an ongoing game that theoretically will keep people paying, subscribing. Like from Sony's point of view, is it better for them to charge for Destiny as like a new expansion release, or as a fan of Destiny, or would you just like spend £12 a month on the Sony sub, and you've got all of Destiny and all of the other stuff as well? Like you would do that. anyone would do that rather than spending £60 on the next Destiny thing.
It seems like a good headline game for Sony Game Pass.
Exactly, because it's so complicated and so monetized at the moment that just one very simple, as you say, Wes, one simple monthly, I can access everything that I can possibly access in Destiny right now. For that, I think a lot of players would like that. Unfortunately, of course, because I think a lot of players are quite unhappy with how it's carved up, monetized, and sold out piecemeal at the moment. But that would be a great solution to it for sure. And then maybe on Xbox, you do still have the existing systems where you're paying for extra bells and whistles and season.
See, I think it would be extra spicy if they just said Destiny 3 is exclusive to is not on Xbox. I just think that makes sense to me, not just from a drama point of view, which is what I love. I love the drama of it. But
it makes good news.
Yes, great headlines. But I just think it makes business sense. Netflix isn't releasing Witcher to buy. I can't go on Amazon now and buy the Witcher the show.
No, but Netflix does it still puts out stuff on Blu-ray because it knows that to get the biggest market possible for the content that it makes, it needs to.
What was
sell
the last
to
Blu-ray
people
you
who
bought?
Don't have Netflix.
What was the last?
Yeah, it's about the bigger market though. It's not about people who, like Sony, isn't going to put stuff on Xbox for people who already have a PlayStation. Netflix isn't putting stuff on Blu-ray for people who already have a Netflix sub. But to grow the audience as much as possible, to reach as many people with your content as possible, to get the most bang from your buck, I think Destiny will always remain.
So here's the question. Let's say there is a Destiny 3, which I'm not even sure at this point there will be, but let's say there is a Destiny 3 and the new game that they're making. Who here thinks, obviously I think Tom does, but does anyone else here think it will be on Xbox? No, I don't. Tom?
I'm trying to be devil's advocate and stay neutral, but no, I don't.
I think that they will, but I think what you will see from Bungie is them assisting on first-party exclusives that are just for PlayStation. So, they could put together some bits and pieces or just work behind the scenes on like a Last of Us shooter or stuff like that.
So there's quite a lot of the sort of PlayStation IPs are coming to an end because they've already said that, God of War Ragnarok will be the end of that sort of saga or whatever. And obviously Uncharted, there's always been rumors about other Uncharted games, but whether or not they actually come to fruition is another thing. Same with The Last of Us. They've said they have an idea for The Last of Us 3, but it's not in development. So there are a lot of the big popular names for PlayStation that have kind of, this is almost their last hurrah with the, re-release of Uncharted 4 and Lost Legacy on PS5. Maybe they do need a whole new IP, and that might be where Bungie comes in.
They have shooter IPs that they've just been dormant for ages as well, haven't they? Because they just didn't end up working, like Killzone and Resistance.
I was going to say, I've seen a lot of chat online of people saying, give Killzone to Bungie, and I don't know if they would necessarily do that. I think surely they want Bungie to make something new.
Yeah, Bungie wouldn't do that.
Bungie, knowing Bungie, they want to work on their own extremely high quality stuff at their own pace and be funded to do it. And that's what.
So the next new game, I think that's the Sony FPS from Bungie.
Yeah, I think it's got to be an FPS.
Bungie's never made anything else, so it'd be crazy.
As Ed already said, there's a space in the Sony market for a first-person shooter because they are generally third-person, story-driven narrative games.
And they're going to lose Call of Duty.
Exactly.
So.
And who better to make the PlayStation FPS than the people who made Halo, the iconic Microsoft?
There must be some smug satisfaction in that somewhere.
I was going to say, I'm sure this deal has obviously not just happened over the last 2 weeks, but that timing must be so satisfying.
The timing is remarkable, isn't it?
Like,
Yeah,
despite
just coming round to investor season.
Yeah.
I think they've said, I think on the record, that it was in the works from last year, and it's not a reaction. But all the big execs, they know what's going on behind the scenes. You know, they know who's doing what. You know, if Microsoft was trying to buy Bungie beforehand, you know, then everyone knows everything. So it's all part moving the chess pieces and trying to get your ducks in a row for what's coming next. Like all this talk of exclusivity to me is fun, right? Because we're in the sort of core gaming business, and it's fun to talk about console exclusives and whatnot. But I think that they're all going to go away anyway, and it will just be, you know, what is the subscription? What is in the subscription? Can I play it on my telly? And that's basically, or my PC or whatever, my phone, and that's it. And actually, like, the console you own probably won't really matter too much to most people. I'm talking, you know, over the coming decade.
I think mobile phone gaming is definitely going to be much more of a focus in general across, you know, obviously Microsoft, Sony, whoever.
Yeah, I think that the thing with mobile is they just need to get a really good, easy way for external storefronts to work on there, which Epic is trying right now with Fortnite on GeForce Now, right? So as soon as that hurdle is overcome, or maybe it's overcome because Apple is made to comply through some court case, but
Apple will give that up their 30% over their dead body. Right?
Yeah, it might take that, mightn't it?
That is, yeah, they'll scratch Sony's eye out before they let them do that. Same with Microsoft, right? Having a Game Pass sub just for your phone, like, no way.
With all of that said, do we think the deal was worth it? Do we think Bungie is worth $3.6 billion? Do we think there was a good purchase by PlayStation?
It might be worth it for the satisfaction of just saying that they bought Bungie and Microsoft didn't.
Yeah, you could say that Bungie was always going to be bought by someone in the end, and this does stop Microsoft owning them.
It's so a difficult question to answer, right? We won't know how this... Honestly, even with the Bethesda acquisition, the Activision Blizzard King one, we won't know, you know, the true consequences for years. And I don't think Bethesda has released a game yet that wasn't already, you know, scheduled since their acquisition. Starfield, I think, will be the first one. So that's going to be the first test of all this, I think, where a big acquisition, a game that's come from them, it will release differently because it will be not on the competitor. How that's going to go down, whether that will be successful, is going to be the first sort of indication of the value of these things. But if Microsoft turn around and say the release of Starfield day one on Game Pass doubled the number of Game Pass subscribers, they'll probably be like, well, it's totally worth it. Like,
yeah.
Despite the fact that they've missed out on $500 million revenue from game sales on PlayStation.
I think the cynical answer is that, you know, that's a lot of money to spend on Destiny, which is essentially what all people have seen so far. But I think the positive response is that there is a lot more going on at Bungie behind that, and they're bringing all this FPS and online expertise that Sony is missing. And I think ultimately that's what they're investing in.
Yeah, it's the talent more than the game.
And for that, we won't see that for a long time.
Yeah, it is very much that long game, I should say. And it'll be really interesting to see when PlayStation launch their Game Pass, which is inevitably coming, when the first time something comes out that you can only enjoy on Game Pass on PlayStation easily or easier because it is there rather than...
Well, that won't be any different for years because they've never... PlayStation don't release anything day and date on anything other than the PlayStation console at the moment.
For now. But, okay. When, not Witch Queen, this year's Destiny 2 expansion, that's too soon, but say next year's Destiny 2 expansion, Penumbra, I think? I can't remember. Whenever that comes out, if the PlayStation Game Pass is available then, surely as an expansion to a game that's part of PlayStation Studios, they will put that in their subscription on day one.
Absolutely.
They won't make you wait.
But
so maybe
it
we'll
will
wait for
also
that.
be out at the same time on Xbox and PC.
For a price.
Yeah.
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 Okay. Well, I think the answer to that question is maybe in the long run, whether it was worth it or not. We'll see. It's worth, before we wrap up, spending a minute or two on the other big acquisition last night, which I was a little bit disappointed in, I've got to say. Wordle being bought by the New York Times, not for the same ballpark of figure as Bungie was bought by Sony either, for the low seven figures mark. So we're talking in the tens of thousands of dollars.
Still a pretty tidy sum for the guy that just made it for his wife to keep her entertained during a pandemic.
Wait, low seven figures? That's $1 million, isn't it? They made him a millionaire.
That's true. Well, the long-running joke of me being terrible at maths still holds
I love
true.
you could actually see you counting the zeros.
Yeah, the cogs are turning there, aren't they?
How many
For
noughts?
some reason.
Yeah, counting
Yeah,
around your fingers.
$10,000. I'm like,
You can see why he took the money, can't you?
I mean, yeah, that's a pretty good deal for a guy. I mean, let's face it, Wordle's only been kind of in prominent circulation for a month or so. That's not a bad,
yeah.
not a bad end game for him.
But do you... I still feel disappointed because he
Why?
sold out. He sold
Why?
out.
He's not sold out. Fair
It was
play
such
to
a
him,
pure
mate.
and
Fair
beautiful
play
thing.
to him. Of course he did. He's a human being. Like, he's not a robot. It's not like, money matters nothing. Of course it does.
He did sort of his little statement on Twitter, and he said that he was feeling overwhelmed, and I felt that. I got that. It can be, you don't expect something to sort of take off the way it does. It can be overwhelming. So I don't know, obviously I'm sure finances had a big part of his decision. I'm not naive, but also from like his mental standpoint, that's nice.
Yeah, do I be overwhelmed or do I take $1 million? I'll take $1 million.
Yeah, exactly. Like, coast, why not?
I'm delighted for him. I really am. I think this is great. Like,
selfishly, I like my free-to-play, ad-free coffee morning break, but also, yeah, I totally get where he's coming from.
So this is the thing. He said that the game will initially remain free as part of the New York Times puzzle app.
it will initially come to PlayStation.
It reminded me a lot of that Bungie wording, where I think we're going to have to wait for the long game to see the real game plan here. Maybe the New York Times is introducing its own Game Pass, and Wordle is
the underdog.
you get the Wordle back catalog if you go on the Game Pass. Otherwise, you have to buy.
Yeah,
a
they'll
season
let you
pass
play
on
previous
Xbox.
days.
I don't know. I was just I like it how it is right now. I just don't like change. I guess that's the thing.
Nothing is ever free, Tom. Not really.
Wordle was.
Yeah, but it was. But that's what I'm saying. Nothing ultimately on a long enough timescale is free.
Well,
I don't know, yeah. Selfishly, I'm disappointed, but bigger picture, I totally get it.
What will be interesting is how they change it. They'll obviously change it. So do they sell it, or do they put an ad on it, a new ad every day or something? Or do they use it? Do they bury it behind their subscription? So there's a few options they've got there. I hope it's just an ad, so anyone can still use it. And they just sell it. It's just an ad on it.
I hope that they do it how they do the mini crossword at the moment. And for anyone who uses that, you get the daily one for free, and it changes every day. But if you were subscribed to the New York Times subscription, then you get the back catalogue, and you have thousands of past ones that you can access if you pay up. So it just encourages you to do that.
Is that what people want out of Wordle? I think part
Well,
of
no,
the
but-
appeal is the virality of doing the latest one and going on social media with your result. And you don't get that if it's like, I just solved last month's like Wednesday, and like tumbleweed on social media.
Yeah, it's the bragging rights. That's what has made it such a thing that it is.
Fair
Absolutely.
play to him.
Which I don't post on social media, but after midnight, as soon as I do it, I go and compare notes with my wife, who's also done it, and we were like, I got it in 3, I got it in 2.
My
I lead
husband
an
doesn't
exciting
do it. I'm
life.
gonna have to borrow you guys so I can compare.
I'm
Yeah,
awful
well,
at it. If
I'm
I can solve it,
Wordle.
I'm happy.
It's all about the starting word.
It's all about starting word. It's all about the vowels.
Yes. So, what's your starting word?
I
What's
can't-
your starting word,
I
Victoria?
can't. Is it Ouija? Ouija? I can't pronounce it. It's the-
Ouija.
Ouija, as
Yeah,
in Ouija board.
Yeah. And then you've got all the vowels, and then you find out what vowels you use, and then you find a word which has got an E in it, and whichever vowel you have correctly got from Ouija. It's flawless. I have such a good streak.
Also, I like the idea of like Ouija being something that might tell you a word, just because of what a Ouija board is. Like you're channeling the
Channel
spirits.
that energy.
Yeah.
What's
My
the
morning-
word all this today? Your
My
hand
morning
is just
spiritual commune.
drawn to letters on your phone.
Yes, it's my morning coffee that I do it with. It's, but one day it will be that, and I'll get it in 1, and I'll feel so smug.
Has anyone ever cheated? Don't lie.
No.
No.
Not even gone to Google for like what words contain these letters.
No.
Saints, the lot here.
Polish our halos.
I've got one wrong, and I've forgotten it on one day. But apart from that, I've been good, and I've kept my streak.
I had a lot of very frustrated social media users yesterday because it was a word that ends. Well, I can say it now because we've all done it. It ended IGHT, so it could have been like light, might, fight, sight. And the amount of people that were just like, it was just a wall of green and then that one grey streak down the side.
That was a tough one.
My
I
wife
got
got
it.
that one in 2.
I think I got that in 3, which in retrospect was quite lucky.
Yeah, 3, and again, luck.
Okay, I got it in 4, but I got it.
Nice. What did you get, Wes?
You know, it's more about the fact the guy made the money for me than it is about me playing it, I'd say. I'm just happy for him.
Cool. Well, on that happy note, let's wrap up. And thank you if you have made it this far and are watching. It's much appreciated. I've been Tom Phillips, Eurogamer's Deputy Editor. Say goodbye, Ed.
Goodbye, Ed.
Is that your thing now? Is that how
It's
these
too
things
easy.
go?
It's just too easy.
Thank you, Victoria.
Thank you, bye.
And thank you, I suppose.
Bye.
We'll see you all next time. Bye-bye.